Good day, everyone. My name is Fasi Lorenzo, and I'll be teaching you module number 2 under the subject Precalculus. So we have two lessons for module 2. First is the conic sections, which involves the ellipse. So what is an ellipse? If you consider here a conic section and a plane, if the plane intersects the conic section diagonally, then the area of their intersection is what we call an ellipse. So, ellipse is the set of all points in a plane that the sum of the distance of its points from two fixed points is a constant. The two fixed points are called the foci, or in singular, that is what we call the focus. Then your ellipse can be oriented horizontally or vertically depending on the values of your constants on your denominator. Here's the formula for your ellipse. Okay, so we have the standard form of equation of an ellipse, and this is written by x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared, and this quantity is equal to 1. If your constant here on your denominator, which is a, is greater than b, then the orientation of your ellipse, if you try to graph it, will be horizontally oriented. If your denominator has a bigger value, where b is greater than a, then your graph for your ellipse is vertically oriented. Okay, so these are the rules when you try to graph your ellipse having your equation. Then next we have also the general equation of an ellipse. And the general equation of an ellipse is given by ax squared plus cy squared plus dx plus ey plus f is equal to 0, where a is equal to c or a is not equal to c and have the same sign. You could consider that the general equation of a circle is similar to the general equation of an ellipse, but the difference is the value of a is equal to c, or a must not be equal to c. So there's a time that you should consider the value of a and c, because there are some equations that a is equal to 0 and c is equal to 0. So we couldn't consider them as a general equation of an ellipse. Here is example number 1. Let's try to transform the given formula for the ellipse from standard form to general form, having the equation x squared over 4 plus y squared over 1 is equal to 1. The first step here is to determine the LCD of your expression. First, we know that the denominator of your first term is 4 and the denominator of your second term is 1. Then we try to multiply both denominators. So 4 times 1 is 4. So we can use that as an LCD. So we will multiply this both sides by 4. So we multiply 4 by x squared over 4 plus y squared over 1 is equal to 1. And 1 is also multiplied by 4. Okay? Then we have 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 1 times x squared is x squared. Plus 4 divided by 1 is 4. And 4 times y squared is 4y squared. Then we try to multiply 1 times 4 and that is 4. And if you try to transpose positive 4 to the left side of your equation, we have x squared plus 4y squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Now, your ellipse is already in the general form. So consider the value here of a is equal to 1, since that is the constant or the numerical coefficient that is present in x squared. And the numerical coefficient of 4y squared is 4, and that is the value of b. So notice that, or rather this is c. Notice that a and c are not equal, but they are not also equal to 0. And they also have the same sign. So the sign of A and C are both positive. So meaning this is the general form of the equation of an ellipse. Let's try this one. What if we have a general form and we try to transform this to standard form? Having the equation 4x squared plus 9y squared minus 36 is equal to 0. So the first step is to determine what is the standard form. So the standard form is having the equation x squared over a squared plus y squared all over b squared is equal to positive 1. Now, let's try to transpose negative 36 to the other side for us to make a constant or a whole number which is equal to 1. So, let's try to rewrite for x squared plus 9y squared minus 36 is equal to 0. Now, let's transpose negative 36 to the other side, and this will become positive. We have 4x squared plus 9y squared is equal to positive 36. And we want to make the right side equal to 1. So we divide both sides by itself. We know that this is 36, so we divide both sides by 36. This is also divided by 36. And the second term of your equation on the left side is also divided by 36. Now, 4 divided by 36, that is 1 over 9. And 1 over 9 multiplied by x squared, that is x squared all over 9. Plus 9 divided by 36, that is 4, or 1/4. And 1/4 multiplied by y squared is y squared all over 4, which is equal to 36 divided by 36, and that is 1. So this is now your standard form of equation of an ellipse. From the general form, 4x squared plus 9y squared minus 36 is equal to 0. Now, let's try to proceed in the graphing. So the graph of an ellipse, again, can be vertically or horizontally oriented. It depends on the value of your a and b, which is the constant on the denominator of your equation. Since we have x squared all over a squared plus y squared all over b squared is equal to 1, so we can try to show that if a is greater than b, then we have a horizontally oriented graph for your ellipse. Oriented for your graph of an ellipse. So this is the horizontally oriented. And we also have here, if B is greater than A, then this is vertically oriented, which can be seen at the top of the note. So the figure above shows the orientation of your graph of an ellipse. If B again is greater than A, then this is vertically oriented. So next, let's try to graph your example number 2. So we have here x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 is equal to 1. So let's try to graph example number 2. So here, this is example for graphing. Example for graphing your ellipse. Okay, let's try this one. For graphing the ellipse. We know that the equation is x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4, and this is equal to 1. Notice that the value of a here, or a squared, is equal to 9. And if you get the principal square root of a squared, so if we try to get the square root or the principal square root of a squared, so we know that a is equal to 3. And the value of b squared here is equal to 4. And if you try to get the principal square root of b squared. So we know that the square root of 4 is just equal to 2. So when we say we are getting the principal square root, we are dealing with the positive values of your roots. So let's try also to have the value of c. So the value of c here is the distance of your foci from the center. So c is just equal to the square root of a squared minus b squared. So we know that a squared has a value of 9. And the value of b squared here is 4. And we know that the difference of 9 and 4 is 5. So the value of c here is square root of 5. And if we try to approximate the value of the square root of 5 using our calculator, the value will be square root of 5 is equal to 2.23. Okay, so this is equal to 2.23606,798. And if we get the two significance figures from your decimals, we will be having 2.24. So this will be the value for your C, meaning this is the distance of your center of the ellipse to the foci. Now let's try to graph your ellipse. If we try to draw a Cartesian plane, okay, let's try to draw a Cartesian plane. So we know here that the values for your center is on the origin because h and k is equal to 0. C is equal to 0, 0. Why? Because the value of h and k here is not given. If x squared all over a squared plus y squared all over b squared, and we don't have a value for h and k, meaning the center of your ellipse is 0, 0, or the origin. Now the value of a here is greater than b. Notice that 3 is greater than 2, where a is greater than b. And a is under the denominator of your x squared. So meaning, this is a horizontally oriented ellipse. So let's try to count the number 3 from your origin. 3 from the right side and 3 from the left side. Let's start from the x-axis on the quadrant 1. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So this is your vertex. And we have also here 1, 2, and 3 to the left side. And we also have here 2 units from the origin, upward and downward, because the value of b is equal to 2. So this is 1, 2. This is also 1 and 2. Okay? So if we try to locate the value of c, so the value of c again is 2.24. So this is your foci. Since your graph for the ellipse is horizontally oriented, we will try to locate the value of c on your x-axis. So this is 1 and this is 2, and we know that 2.2 is in between 2 and 3. So if this is between 2 and 3, this could be located here. And we have also here from the left side, negative 2.24. So it is also between negative 2 and negative 3. Okay. Then after that, we will be trying to construct the graph of your ellipse. So this can be seen as like this one. If you try to graph this using an app, this will give you the same result. So again, this is your foci, the value of c, and this is the graph of your ellipse. Again, this is what we call the major axis. Since this is horizontally oriented, so the axis for your ellipse is lying on the x-axis. And this is your minor axis. If you have the minor axis and major axis, this is also what we call the major vertices. This is positive 3, 0, and this is negative 3, 0. So these are what we call your major vertices. Since we have also the minor axis, we have also our minor vertices, which is 0, positive 2, and 0, negative 2. And these points determine your minor vertices. Okay? So all we need to do is get the value of your A and B and get the value of C and determine if this is vertically oriented or horizontally oriented depending on the values of A and B. If A is greater than B, then this is horizontally oriented. And if B is greater than A, then that is vertically oriented. And the major axis and minor axis will also interchange their parts. If your graph is horizontally or vertically oriented rather, then your major axis will be the y-axis. So this will be your major axis containing your major vertices. And you have also here the minor axis for the graph of an ellipse vertically oriented. So this is major and this is also the minor. Your x-axis will become your minor axis. Okay? That ends our lesson for your ellipse. Now, let's have lesson number 2, which is the hyperbola. Okay? Hyperbola is the intersection between a plane and the conic section vertically. As you see here on the figure, the plane intersects the conic section vertically and the areas of intersection forms a hyperbola. So what is a hyperbola? It is the set of all points such that the difference of the distances from each point of two fixed points called the foci is a positive constant. As you could see here, the hyperbola has a fixed point, and the fixed point is what we call the focus or the foci if it is plural. Now, the value of C here is your fixed point. And this is the distance from your center to your fixed point, which is the foci. So this is positive C, and the value of your C here is also negative C, having your center on the origin. So this is referred as x squared over a squared minus y squared over b squared is equal to 1. If x is on the left side of the formula, then your hyperbola is horizontally oriented. And if y is the one that is first or the first term of your equation for the hyperbola, then your graph for your hyperbola will be vertically oriented. And we have here the different types or parts of your hyperbola. When we are trying to locate the axis, if your hyperbola is horizontally oriented, then the axis here lying on the major vertices is what we call the transverse axis. Again, this is your transverse axis. And the axis that is vertically oriented, this is what we call the conjugate axis. And this axis helps in determining the behavior of the graph of your hyperbola. Again, if your graph for your hyperbola is vertically oriented, then the transverse axis and conjugate axis also interchange their parts. For this part, this is your transverse axis. And for this part, this is what we call your conjugate axis. Okay, so let's try to answer example number 1. Example number 1, transform from the standard form to general form of the equation of a parabola having the equation x squared over 4 minus y squared over 9 is equal to 1. Consider that the operation to be used if you are trying to present a hyperbola using an equation is subtraction, while in the ellipse, we use the operation addition. So that's the difference between the hyperbola and ellipse. So if you try to get the value of your LCD, just multiply your two denominators, which is 4 and 9. So we know that 4 times 9 is 36. So we multiply both sides by 36. So 36 multiplied by x squared over 4 minus y squared over 9 is equal to 1 multiplied by 36. And if we try to multiply 36 to x squared over 4, we know that 36 divided by 4 is 9. And 9 multiplied by x squared is 9 squared. So we have 9x squared minus 36 divided by 9, that is 4. And 4 multiplied by y squared, that is 4y squared. Then we try to equate this to 1 multiplied by 36, that is 36. And let's try 9x squared minus 4y squared. Let's try to transpose positive 36 to the other side. So if this is 36, this will now become negative 36. And we try to equate this to 0. So now, this is your general form of equation of your hyperbola. Next, let's have another example. If we have an equation of a hyperbola on general form, then let's try also to make this in standard form. So transform from general form to standard form and construct its graph. For 3x squared minus 12y squared minus 48. Let's try to transpose negative 48 to the other side. So this is 3x squared minus 12y squared is equal to positive 48. So we know if we try to make this in standard form, 48 should be equal to 1. So we divide both sides by 48 to make this constant equal to 1. So this is 48, and we divide 3x squared by 48, and negative 12y squared will be also divided by 48. Okay? So 3x squared divided by 48 is 1 over 16, and this is equal to x squared. Well, this should be x squared. X squared all over 16 minus 12 divided by 48, that is 1/4. And 1/4 can be written as y squared over 4. Since we try to multiply y squared to 1/4. And we need to equate this to positive 1 because we know 48 divided by 48 is equal to 1. So now we have the value for A and B. Again, if x squared is the first term of your expression or the equation for your hyperbola, then your hyperbola is horizontally oriented. And if it is y squared, then your hyperbola is vertically oriented. Okay, let's try to graph. So notice that we have here the details for graphing, and we will try to have an in-depth explanation about this on your next lessons. Let's try to graph your example number 2. So we have the standard form, x squared. Let's try to encircle, that is x squared over 16 minus y squared over 4. And this is equal to positive 1. If we try to graph, let's construct Cartesian plane. Okay, we have again x squared all over 16 minus y squared all over 4 is equal to positive 1. So the value of your a squared is equal to 16. And if we try to get the principal square root of a squared, then the value of 16 or the square root of 16 is positive 4. And we know that b squared is equal to 4. And if we try to get the principal square root of b squared, we have the square root of 4 where b is equal to positive 2. And we know that the value of your c is equal to a squared plus b squared. It is different from the value of your c on your ellipse. So we have c is equal to the square root of, we know that a squared is equal to 16. And we know that 4 or b squared is equal to 4. So 16 plus 4, that is 20. So c is having the square root of 20. We know that 20 is not a perfect square. So we need to find a perfect square number from its factors. So we know that square root of 20 can be expressed as 4 times 5. And 4 is a perfect square number. Since we can extract the square root of 4, so we have now 2 square root of 5. Or approximately, this is equal to 4.47. So C is just the distance of your focus to your center of the hyperbola. Since this is horizontally oriented and the center is on the origin, so we know that the center is 0, 0 because the value of h and k here is not given. So automatic that the equation has a center of 0, 0. Let's try to construct a Cartesian plane. Okay, since this is horizontally oriented, we have here the value of your A. So the value of A here, if we try to count from the origin, is 4 units away from the origin. So 4 units from the right and 4 units from the left. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is your major vertex. We also have here negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 4. And we also have here the value for your B, which is 2. So 2 units upward and 2 units downward. So let's try to encircle the value of A, the value of B, and the value of C. So this is 1, and this is 2. And this is negative 1 and negative 2. So if we try to, let's try to relocate the point here, since this is much farther from the others. This is negative 4. And then let's try to construct a rectangular figure using your points from the major vertex, from your transverse axis and your conjugate axis. Okay, if we are done to construct this one, we will try to make a diagonal line using the center of your hyperbola. So this is what we call now the asymptotes. So this will serve as the boundaries of your graph for your hyperbola. And we try to make a trace line for the asymptotes. Okay, now we have the asymptotes, and now we try to locate the value of your foci. So the value of your foci is 4 units or 4.47 units away from the center of your hyperbola, which is 0, 0. Since this is positive 4 and this is negative 4, we know that 4.47 is near 4.5. So we try to locate your focus here. And also, from negative 5, this is your focus. Now, if you try to graph the following, so you try to have your arrows to be oriented by the asymptotes. And we try to draw your latus rectum. Again, this is your foci. And you try to construct the graph of your hyperbola using the asymptotes as your guide. Now, this is your latus rectum. From your foci, you try to draw a vertical line. Okay? So now you have the graph for your hyperbola, which is horizontally oriented. Again, since this is the major vertex or the vertices of your hyperbola, we call this again the transverse axis. And the other axis here, which is horizontal or vertically oriented, is what we call the conjugate axis. So this is the graph of your hyperbola. So thank you for listening. This is the end of Module 2 under Pre-Calculus. Thank you for listening and have a great day.